G.S.R. Krishnamurthy Garu for permitting us to continue this webinar series on the occasion of 8th International Yoga Day. All the deans and head of the departments of National Sanskrit University, Sarvebhyaha Namaskaraha. I am instructed by the present today's speaker, Murali Krishna Saru. Narayana, make it brief because we are going to do more information to the participants. So don't extend my introduction. Based on this, just I am concising very brief, where it is very big to introduce about today's speaker. As per SAR instructions, I am going to start it. It's very happy occasion to introduce today's speaker, Professor P. Murali Krishna, Principal and Medical Superintendent ex officio of SV Ayurveda College, Tirumala Tirupati, Devasthanams, Tirupati. He is the recipient of good number of awards and medals. A few to mention in a minute. Devi Srinivasulu State Chavali Ramaya Gold Medal, Ananta Lakshmipati Gold Medal, International Charaka Award. He has held many positions at different capacities: governing body member, expert speaker, resource person for many institutions and universities. For his credit, he has visited many foreign countries as academic tour. He is the member of BOS and also chairman of Institutional Ethical Committee of Research Wing of Ayurveda College, Dr. Chandrasekhar Swami Mahavishwavidyalaya. To his credit, he has delivered more than 137 guest lectures both in India and abroad. He has chaired scientific sessions 25 in both national and international seminars, workshops and conferences. He has more than 30 publications in national and international journals. Now Sari is going to be deliver his lecture on healthy lifestyle in the light of yoga and naturopathy. Sari is mostly one and only the fitting person who can do the justice to these two subjects, yoga therapy and Ayurveda. So we heartily welcome you, sir, for this webinar. Please.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning to everybody. Namaskaram. Shubhodayam. Really, it's very happy. I'm privileged to be there in front of you in the very early hours of the day. I probably have been exposed to several lectures previously, but this is a unique lecture where the importance of health, especially in the light of lifestyle disorders, is a very, very important area where WHO, World Health Organization, is a highest ethical body of the health management in the world. It declared the 2011 to 2020 as the decade of lifestyle disorders. Because many of the deaths are being caused by the lifestyle, erroneous lifestyle, which is causing several problems like coronary artery disease, heart problems, stroke, cancer, and so on and so forth. So in this context, a very important thing is lifestyle correction is a very, very important area one has to focus. So keeping in this view, the very important advocations of the lifestyle in Ayurveda are well received even by the WHO, and they framed a committee of 60 members and 20 members and finally 3 members. In all the 3 committees I was there, and to finalize the advocations of lifestyle principles in Ayurveda. So really is a very privilegious thing because I must thank the Vice Chancellor, Rashtriya Sanskrit University, and also Lakshmi Narayana, who is the head of the yoga unit of National Sanskrit University. So with this introduction, let me go for my presentation. Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So this is healthy lifestyle in the light of Ayurveda and yoga, because Ayurveda and yoga are very important products of India. They are indigenous. And another important thing is Ayurveda and yoga are framed upon the Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya is one of the six streams of philosophical foundations of India, derived from the Vedic era. And both Ayurveda and yoga happens to be the same offshoots of Sankhya philosophy. So that is the reason why there are several similarities in Ayurveda and yoga. And you also must be knowing about the great saying that there are three people, Panini, Patanjali, and Charaka. These three are the same, and but they incarnated themselves to uplift the quality of walk, that is the spoken words through Vyakarna by Panini, and physical fitness by the Charaka, and mental fitness by the Patanjali. So these three, even it is said, Panini, Patanjali, and Charaka are the same, uh, and they are incarnated by the God Himself to strengthen our the three important things: thought, word, and deed. So with this introduction, let me go directly to one book which really inspired me. That is Blue Jones. You can also purchase this National Geographic publication, Dan Buckner, and World Blue Zones. What actually these blue zones? You see here, there are there are five areas. They are not localized or focal in the globe. They are distributed. One in Japan, another is in Greeks, and another is in Italy, and another is in California and Costa Rica. So these are five areas where the people of those areas having more than 100 years. That means densely populated centenarians are localized in these areas. Centenarians means 100 years old people. So really, Sardinia, Italy; Okinawa, Japan; Loma Linda, California; Nicoya Peninsula, Costa Rica; Icaria, Greece. But the Blue Jones book focuses on these centenarians, how they lived, what are the secrets behind their centenarian life, and how they maintain the health. So this was the book. Really, it inspires. And why? Because it is inspires, because it is a publication from the Western author. But of course, very important thing is it has promulgated several principles of Ayurveda. That is the reason why I focus, because if I say that it is said in Ayurveda, nobody is going to believe. But once it is said, practically it is endorsed by the contemporary people, means we accept. That is our human nature. So how these people manage to live longer and better, and it is not through pills, surgeries, or medication. You remember, because they do not have corporate hospitals, they do not have doctors there, but only their secrets are found in the everyday things they do, the food they eat, the company they keep, and the very perspective on life. These three important aspects are dealt in World Blue Jones book. You can just have it, because many of you must be the people who are aspiring for the quality of life and longevity of life. One has to go through that. So then you will be knowing the importance of the health. So WHO definition of health is very comprehensive. Health is a state of physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. But spiritual well-being is left to the individual countries whether to accept it or not, because certain countries are there. They are uh, they do not believe in spirituality and God. Those people, they may not keep the spiritual well-being, but the Eastern countries, like many of the Eastern countries with the Orientalistic approach, they believe, because in India we keep the spiritual well-being also, but not a mere absence of disease or infirmity. That means usually what we say is arogyam means aroga. That means absence of disease. But that is not the arogya. What Ayurveda says, even the WHO also says. without the disease or absence of disease or infirmity is not the health. But they must be physically fit, mentally fit, socially fit. They must be socially useful for the society. So that is actually. So Susruta Samhita also says the same. Samadosha. There are there are three powerful forces in the body to regulate the physical state of the body. Samagnisya, the proper food digestion and assimilation, absorption and utilization of the body. Samadhatu, the physical frame composed by seven dhatus, they must be proportionately rational, and proper elimination of the waste products from the body must be there, and they must have prasanna atma indriya manaha. They must be very tranquil in their mind, and they must have the very good acumen of perception through senses. These all must be there in swastha. Swastha means Ayurveda do not say arogya. It says swastha. Swastha means swasthiti. That is the actual state. We are basically and defaultly healthy people, and because of our erroneous lifestyle, we sometimes deviate from the healthiness, and we go and get some problem and again come back to the healthy state. So that is the reason why in the universe lakhs and millions of species of living beings are there. They're basically healthy, swastha, because they are regulated and conditioned by the nature. But where we have the mind and we have the quality to conquer the nature, what we think, and we want to overcome the principles, we want to breach the nature's law. So in that condition, naturally, we are being punished, away, keeping away from the swasthiti. So that is the reason why swastha is the appropriate word for the health than the arogya. Arogya is the absence of disease. But swastha means our own quality, that is our own homeostatic nature. That is what we say Ayurveda, the swastha is the arogya. Swasthiti, basically we are. So to brief you about these certain salient features of Ayurveda, it's a science of life rather than medical system. Many people think that if they get the disease, they will approach a doctor, get the medicine, and cured. So that is what the medical systems now being understood in India. But Ayurveda is something different. It is science of life. That means it narrates the principles of life, and at what time you have to wake up, and what to do after the waking up, and what are your daily routine, and what type of food has to be taken, how much sleep is required for you, and what time you have to sleep. These are all various things. That is what the science of life describes in Ayurveda. So that is Ayurveda is more the science of life rather than the medical system, because it always warns us what to do and what not to do. If still you do, and if you still breach the nature's law, if you get the disease, and then how the disease has come, and what are the remedies, what are the possible remedial measures, those are also described. But more preference is given to the prevention rather than curing the disease. Truly an indigenous system of health. That means it is born in India. It is an offshoot of Atharvana Veda. So it is absolutely a climb. Whatever that the credit comes to Ayurveda directly goes to India. Rooted in the Vedas and Upanga of Atharvana Veda, an organized and systematized medical wisdom recorded for a period of 10,000 years of Indian society. Because if you see, trace out the principles of health in Atharvana Veda, they are scattered. But once these principles of Ayurveda, principles of health, are systematized in the subsequent years, and gradually it is made into a medical wisdom in the form of major compendiums like Charaka Samhita, Susruta Samhita, and Ashtanga Hridaya and Vagbhata. So subsequently we have even minor compendiums also, Sharangadhara, Madhav Nidana, and Bhav Prakasha. So these six are the very basis of Ayurveda. Its approach is a very comprehensive approach, healthcare system recognized by WHO. WHO says that, so this is absolutely such a traditional system which is very comprehensive. It touched all ramifications of life and health. So that is the reason why It is recognized by WHO, and probably you might have heard recently, about 2 months before, the Prime Minister and the WHO chief inaugurated the Asia Traditional Center in the Jamnagar in Gujarat. So WHO intended to start a traditional center in any of the world, but they identified that India is the suitable place, and they established the WHO Traditional Center in India. So holistic approach towards the patient. Patient is considered as conglomeration of body, mind, and soul. So several things are there, emotions also. So if you want to treat the patient, and it must not be a chemical entity, as the modern systems say, the human body is a chemical entity. It can be chemically intervened, but Ayurveda is not like that. We consider the emotions, we consider the body, we consider the mind, and their diet, lifestyle, and all those. So approach is holistic. That is a comprehensive approach towards the management of patient is seen. Given due importance to life and its all ramification. That is what you have to eat, at what time you have to sleep, and what are the other possibilities, and how you have to overcome the emotions. These are all described. Its approach towards the patient is individualized. That means there are 7 constitutions described in Ayurveda. These 7 constitutions are individualized. That means you can group all the people, uh, inhabitants of the globe, into 7 categorizations. They are called Prakritis: Vata Prakriti, Pitta Prakriti, Kapha Prakriti, and Dvandaja. That means Vata Pitta, Pitta Kapha, and Kapha Vata, and Sama Prakriti. They are 7. So all the people must come into these 7 frames only. So once they identify their Prakriti, they can regulate their diet, they can regulate their lifestyle, and they can even predict the diseases which they are going to expose in the future, and how to overcome those. These are all being dealt. So that is the reason why this understanding of the constitution of the individual, and accordingly the management of the disease, is very important. Has been withstood to the onslaughts of other systems. Many systems have come, but still, this is a very important thing. It withstood, and because it is such a comprehensive, which cannot be even uh, shackled or even shattered into pieces by any other system. Taking care of health needs of India from time immemorial to contemporary society, even to now, the Ayurveda is doing its immense service. When we come to the point, actually, our topic, lifestyle management as per Ayurveda. So Ayurveda course, this is a um, very popular sloka in Ayurveda, but it's very impressive sloka for me. Nityam hitahara vihara sevi. Nityam means every day. Hita ahara, hita vihara. Hita means whatever that is suitable to the individual. As I told you, there are 7 constitutional variables. Accordingly, if you fit your diet and lifestyle, those people, Samikshakari, that means whoever take any activity, so they must properly analyze the things and do the activity. That means they should not, without knowing the swimming, if they just uh, jump into the pool, it is like that. Samikshakari. Samikshakari means you well understood the swimming, and then if you jump into the pool, then you are a Samikshakari. That means if you want to initiate any project, and you must analyze that and do accordingly, and then plan out and then involve yourself in that. Vishayes vasaktaha. That means Vishaya means the sensory objects. The sensory objects, that means you can say the distractions in the present era. We have several distractions. So like mobile and laptop, internet, so many distractions are there. You must have Vishayes vasaktaha. That means you should not have craving for experiencing these sensory objects. So that craving should be corrected. Data, that means if you donate, charity is a very important quality. Charity. Uh, Somebody, they can mute their uh, mobile or laptop, so because their voice is disturbing. So data means charity. Samaha, that means whoever see the things equally. There should not be no nepotism. There should not be any inequality. Samaha. Satyaparaha, who stick on to the truthfulness. So because the truthfulness is very important. If you say a lie, and to overcome that lie, you need to have series of lies. And again, you have to fix a frame in the mind, mind in the parallel frame in the mind to even compensate or to unexhibit your life. So that is the reason why several negative waves are being emanated from the mind, which are going to disrupt. So if you want to be healthy, you must be truthful, kshama, and you must have the forgiveness, aptopasevi. You must respect the elders and even parents. Bhavatya roga. If such people are there, they do not have the disease. That is the very important thing. They do not have disease. In addition to that, ardheshva alabhyeshva kruta prayatnaha krutadharaha nityam upaya vastu jitendriyaha nanupatanti roga tatkala yuktaha yadi nasti daivam. So you should not set your life goals very, very high. Know your limitations. That means you should not live from your ground. That is where you must have ground realities. Whatever that the life goals set, you should be thoughtful, logical, healthy thinking, having control over the sensory faculty. Even after following all these, you are not set to be safe provided you have Daiva Yoga with you and contribute for non-polluted healthy season and time atmosphere. Kalesh Vanukulo Vishayaha Manognya Dharme Kriyaha Karma Sukhanubandhi. And you have social responsibility also. You must protect the nature. That is also very important. Maintain social hygiene, ethics and conduct because this is a social health. So if you are a crack in the society, that is also unhealthiness. Do present and future favorable deeds. So all these when followed by one and all gives natural pleasure to the whole society. That is Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Because everybody will be happy. If suppose one crack is there in a community and that crack create the problems and that will disturb even other people. So that is the reason why if a drunkard is there in a lane, one gully, and the total gully people are disturbed. So that is the reason why we have social responsibility, social hygiene also. So all these ramifications, that is social ramifications, are described in Ayurveda. Then first come to the diet. Diet is very, very important factor because Ayurveda says the life is completely dependent upon diet. So whatever you eat, that you are going to become. Taittiriya Upanishad says, since living beings eat it, it is called annam. Aharam. Why it is? Because aharyate. We take inside. That is the reason why it is called as. So food is defined as assimilation of energy from the sun by plants and animals. Manusmriti says. But it is even logically being supported by the photosynthesis and also utilization of carbohydrates by us, releasing of energy at each cell of our mitochondria. Because the sunlight is received by the chlorophyll of the plants and implant the energy in the form of carbohydrates with the phenomena of photosynthesis and this carbohydrates are being consumed by us. They are made into monosaccharides by our digestive system. These monosaccharides are taken into the each cell, and in each cell we have a powerhouse called mitochondria, where this monosaccharide is again formed into carbon dioxide and water, and the energy is released. Now, what beautiful Manusmriti says: the sun, energy from the sun by plants and animals. Food is nothing but this is a sun energy, solar energy, because we are all depend upon solar energy, but with the help of plants. Plants can grab the solar energy and facilitate us to implant in the polysaccharides, that is carbohydrates, and we consume the carbohydrates and we eat it and we release the same solar energy in our cells. So that's absolutely whether whether they knew it or not, but they are visionaries. So they, whatever that is said by them, absolutely truth, even supported by the contemporary science. So Ayurveda has given due importance to ahara. That is ahara sambhavam vastu. Rogasya ahara sambhava. That means all the living beings are formed out of the diet, because one has to accept, when we were born, we were about 2.5 to 3.5 kgs, but gradually we puffed into 70, 60, 80, 100 kgs. How we puffed into, and how we gained the weight, and how we uh, developed our frame, this is because of ahara. So the total body is food. So if you want to analyze the longevity and durability of any building, how you analyze? Engineers will come and they see the foundation, they see the framework, and they see the components used for the construction, and finally they assess. Similarly, whatever that you eat, that you are going to have the longevity and quality of life. So that is the reason why Ayurveda say hita and ahita are very important, responsible for happiness and measuring. Hita means suitable, ahita means non-suitable. So for sometimes tongue craving directs them, even if it is not suitable. We like to eat those drugs which are very pungent and spicy, which are not suitable for us. But still, because of the craving, Vishaya Svasakta, Vishaya Asakta is going to grab those things, and ultimately we are being punished because they are ahita. So hita means sukha. That is, hita, sukha is another synonym for the healthiness. You remember. So when we are healthy, we are basically happy, and asukha is directly linked to the anarogya. That is roga. So you can say that. So that is the reason why the body as well as disease are caused by food. The Charaka Samhita says, ahara sambhava vastu rogasya ahara sambhava. So your body is born out of the food, and your diseases also born out of food. So to make your body happy, that is stick on to the healthiness, hita food is required. And if you indulge in the ahita food, you are going to experience the dukkha. Dukkha is another synonym for the roga or vyadhi. So the Charaka Samhita says, Shatrim Satam Sahasrani Ratrinam Hita Bhojanaha. There is a disciplined man who practices wholesome diet, that is hitahara, that suitable diet. They live for 36,000 nights, that means 100 years, blessed by Godmen and free from disease. That is what Charaka Samhita says in the Vimanasthana of second chapter, Shatrim Satam Sahasrani Ratrinam Hita Bhojanaha. So what is actually wholesome diet? We always say hita hita. Food articles which maintain the equilibrium of bodily elements, that is dhatus, and help in eliminating the disturbance of their equilibrium are to be regarded as wholesome hita. Otherwise, they are unwholesome. That means whatever that which is, by eating that, we do not get any problem, and even instantaneously or in the course of time. You remember, these are important. Suppose if I take a pungent spicy food, it doesn't cause anything to me, but it doesn't mean that it is suitable for you. In the course of time, it may cause problem. So that is the reason why, as per the constitution, you can assess what is suitable and what is non-suitable. And you will also be knowing, by taking those diet, you will not feel any discomfort in the abdomen, discomfort in your body frame. So that is also wholesome. So fundamentals of nutrition in Ayurveda is very, very important, because a lot of things are described in regarding the diet. Food plays a critical and sometimes primary role in prevention of treatment or disease. So Ayurveda says, if you do not follow the food regimen along with the medicine, your medicine is waste. Why? Because the medicine is ineffective. If you follow the food regimen, you need not take the medicine also. That is also another thing. That means if a disease has come because of the overeating, if you do fasting for one day and everything will be settled, you need not go for medicine. So like that, if you indulge in such erroneous food habit, and if you correct that habit, itself is going to become normalcy. So that is Ayurveda says, Patye sati gadartasya kima ushada nishevane. Patya means suitable diet. If you take suitable diet, what is the need of taking medicine? That is what it is said. Patye asati gadartasya kima ushada nishevane. It says that if you do not take the patya, even if you take the medicine, it is of no use. So that is the reason why diet is given a very important role in Ayurveda and also yoga. Food's taste has nutritional meaning. We have 6 tastes. All the 6 tastes are important. Ayurveda says, Ekarasabhyaso Nindyanam. That means they are going to cause the disease. If you stick on to a single taste, I like sweet, I am regularly taking sweet. Somebody used to say like that. That is not suitable. So you have to take all the 6 tastes, experience the 6 tastes. Shadrasa, Bhojana is a very important thing. People respond differently to the same food. I mean, the same food may not be suitable for all. You remember that. And some people accept that, and some people may not be. So that is the reason why you cannot generalize the food habits. How one digests is an important what one eats. So how you are eating is not the important, but whether it is properly digested, assimilated by your body is also very important. So annena, that is what Ayurveda says, and even yoga also endorses it. Capacity of intake is made into 4 parts, Ayurveda says. That means your capacity of intake of food is made into 4 parts, and 2 parts for solid food, 1 part for liquid, and 1 part for aeration, that is emptiness. So, but in another context, it is said in 3 parts, making the your capacity into 3 parts. 1 part for solid and 1 part for liquid, and one third must be kept open. So that is the reason why Ayurveda say, how do you know? Because many people may think, how can I know my capacity? So even after taking your food, if you still feel that you can eat, but you are stopping it, that is the ideal quality of taking food. You remember, that means I have started taking food, but there are certain conditions where some people, after eating that, they say that I cannot take more. I'm taken fully, even up to the throat. So that feeling should not be there. Even after taking food, you can also take further, but you stop voluntarily. That is the very quality of taking the food. So quantity of the food is very important, and very important in the very basic principle of Ayurveda. People respond differently to the same food, and different foods suiting different people. That is what I say. Why some people may crave spicy foods, but others do not. And why some tolerate these foods, while others suffer. So some people, by taking uh, the chili, uh, they are affected. They get the burning sensation. Whereas other people, they take whatever that you give, and they are not going to cause any problem for them. So that is very important. That means suitability of food is very important. And emotions and food are also another important thing, because the recent experiences, recent researchers say the unmindful eating of food is causing the obesity and metabolic disorders. Unmindful eating means by watching the TV, eating something, and by discussing with a friend and eating something. So this is called unmindful activity. Ayurveda never accepts this. Ayurveda says that eating food is a ritual. This is a type of yajna offered to the Vaishvanara of our body. So Vaishvanara is the Lord himself resided in our stomach, taking the food of different 4 varieties and being digested and assimilated, and our life is being sustained by this Vaishvanara. So we are offering the food to the Vaishvanara. That feeling must be there. That means earlier days, while eating the food, that is really very uh, principled eating is there. But nowadays, because of the fast life activity, eating food is given less importance, and it is shrunken into the very narrow time, and gulping and going out. So unmindfully. Ayurveda includes the concept how we live is as important to nutrition as what we eat, because of the potential of lifestyle choices to affect digestion. So behaviors and lifestyle choices that can aid proper digestion. That's also important. Suppose you are depressed, you are sorrowful, and your digestion is impaired. You are anxious, you are attending the examination, you don't feel even hunger. So the emotions are going to directly influence your digestive process. So eat as if you are offering to Vaishwanara. That what I told you already. So because that is what Ayurveda says, mindful eating. Mindful eating is a very important phenomenon. So eat in a settled atmosphere. Digestion works better when people are relaxed and not stressed. This includes not eating when angry or upset. So emotionally disturbed time, better not to eat because that is going to harm. While eating, just enjoy the taste of food. Avoid television and reading and over socializing. Means discussing something or like politics with others during the food. Saliva and mastication are both important components in breaking down food. Taking interferes with the talking interferes with this process. So definitely, saliva mastication are very important. While eating the food, one should not talk, and this is very important thing. Usually, Ayurveda says, but another important thing which even lifestyle activities are there. So among the lifestyle activities, sleeping is also one of the important things. Sleep means at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep must be there, and this sleep must be in the time. So what Ayurveda says, sleep must be in the time. That means regularly, if you want to go early sleep and early rise. That is what Ayurveda says. Early sleep and early rise is very important aspects, and Ayurveda says sleep is a very important physician for any individual. Important physician for any individual. Why? Because sleep is because from morning to evening we work hard, emotionally, physically, mentally we are exhausted, and once we go to sleep, all this exhaustive nature is being recouped. That means recovered, and in the morning again you have become fresh. So that is the reason why Ayurveda says sleep is the first healer for you, first healing touch for you, so first physician for you. So if you properly accept that 6 hours to 8 hours of sleep per day, that is going to make you very healthy, very happy. So if you deviate from that, that means there are certain professions where the sleep is inadequate, like the software industry. There are people where they have to do the night shifts, and in those conditions, if you narrow the sleep, and it is going to affect in the course of time. So less than 6 hours of sleep, more than 8 hours of sleep, both are harmful for the body. Many people think that good health is good, sleep is good, and if they sleep more than 8 hours, that is also going to cause harm. And similarly, Nidrayatam Sukham Dukkham. That means Nidrayatam means it is based on the Nidra. What are those? Shukham Dukkham. Shukham means Arogyam. Dukkham means disease. The disease and health both are directly dependent on Nidra. That is sleep. Pushti Karshyam. That means whether you want to become the obese or plump, and that depends upon the sleep. And if you want to become the sleek, and again that is also can be possible through sleep. So the people who used to eat food and take assume to the sleep, those will become push. That means obese. They will become obese in the due course. The Ayurveda says that eating food and sleeping for excess, both excessive eating and excessive sleeping, are going to cause the fast gaining of the weight, like a pig. Varahaiva pushyati. Varahaiva pushyati means if you see the pig, it can be observed only in two ways, either eating the food or sleeping in the mud. So these two are possible. That is the reason why Ayurveda says Varahaiva pushyati, that is most fast puffing animal is also pig. So in similar way, the sleep is also very important factor. So another important thing is daytime sleep. Daytime sleep is prohibited in Ayurveda, especially the people who are less than 60 years old. So less than 60 years old and more than 12 years, those people, the daytime sleep is prohibited. And power nap is something different. Power nap means around 10-15 minutes taking sleep is of course good, but even Ayurveda and the modern contemporary science accepts that. But sleeping for comfortably longer period, more than 1 hour in the daytime, is prohibited. But that is allowed for the sick people, allowed for the uh, above 60 years people, and allowed for all, especially in the summer. The summer daytime sleep is advised. That is advocated in Ayurveda. So, but in other days, if you sleep, and it is going to clog the vasculature. That means clotting formation can be possible in your important arteries of the heart or important arteries of the brain. Both can be possible. So, in that way, so sleep is also another important factor one has to follow. And while going to the sleep also, you have to facilitate the sleep comforts and stick on to a particular time to go for sleep. And if it goes beyond that time, sleeping will be, quality of the sleep will be disturbed. So that is the reason why timely sleep is very important, and duration of sleep is important. Quality sleep is also very important. So these are all very essential things. In another important lifestyle correction is a very important lifestyle correction, as it is said in Ayurveda, is taking water. So water intake is also said very detailedly in Ayurvedic classics. So if you want to take water early morning, Tushodaka, and that means Ushodaka Pana, that means in the morning, Usha means early morning, after getting up, after brushing your teeth, and you can take the water. So, how much quantity of water? That is, there is a difference between the naturopathy and Ayurveda. Ayurveda never allow you to drink liters of water. It only hardly allow you for 500 ml to 700 ml maximum. So that much quantity of water is advised in the morning, so that it facilitates the bowel evacuation perfectly. So, and along with that, the total per day around, as I told you, the liquids must be one third of your capacity. But if you calculate that, around 2.5 to 3.5 liters per day is very important. 2.5 liters to 3.5 liters per day. So nowadays, after listening to YouTube advocations by certain people, the people are taking 5 liters, 6 liters, 10 liters of water, as if they are completely refreshing their body. That is the overburdening of the kidneys, you remember. So we should not overburden any of the important organ, because we have a regulatory mechanism in our mind. That is, whenever you have depletion of water in your body, and you will immediately get the thirst urge. So that is an indicator for you to drink the water. But nowadays, the people forget that, because the thirst urge, because of your emotionally disturbed activity, mechanical activity of your life, sometimes you do not perceive the thirst urge, and sometimes you just forego to attend. You do not attend the thirst urge. So those factors are going to cause harm to our digestion process. And again, at what time, whether if you want to take food, along with the food, water is advised, or before taking food or after taking food. This is also clearly described in Ayurveda. If you want to maintain the healthiness, you have to take water along with the food. You remember, along with the food. You should not take before food, or you should not take after food. So along with food is a very, very ideal thing to facilitate the digestion. Suppose if you are obese, if you want to reduce the obesity, then you can take water before food. If you want to gain weight, you are lean, and if you want to maintain the plumpness in your body, you can take water after the food. These facilitation, these advocations are described in Ayurveda. So lukewarm water is the best one, because many people say RO water is good or not. So there are so many advocations nowadays, because they say that it is acidic and going to cause harm to your body systems. And after some time, once we use for about 30 years, and they say that RO water is not good. So this is advocation. But Ayurveda say that whatever the source of water you take, if you boil it and cool it, and if you take, either in lukewarm or in a body that is the room temperature water. Those are very healthy taking of water. That means we never say that RO water is good, but boiled cool water is good because the boiling is going to completely eradicate the bacterial and microbial contamination in the water. So that is very, very important. So this is already advocated in Ayurveda, hot water and semi-lukewarm water. Semi-hot or lukewarm water are good for facilitating the digestive system, and also it prevents the coagulation in the vasculature. That means obstruction in the vasculature. Blood circulation is corrected. While eating, just very important is while eating you have to take sips of water. So that is also very important. In between, water along with the food is very important. And in between also, whenever you feel thirst, you take the water. So this is the very ideal way. So another lifestyle which is promulgated in Ayurveda is physical activity. So physical activity is a very, very important. That is Vyayama. Vyayama is described in Ayurveda. Vyayama means nothing but that is Sarira Ayasa Janakam Vyayama Muchate. That means whatever that the physical activity which is going to exert you, your breath. So that is called Vyayama. Sarira Ayasa Janakam means whatever that which induces shortness of breath in your body, that is called Vyayama. So while describing the Vyayama, what are the benefits we get? Vyayama is going to induce the Vibhakta Ganagatrutvam. Vibhakta means Ganagatrutvam. Ghana means hard, Gatra means body. So what if contemporary world, if you can say the six-pack is easily understood by you, other than the Vibhakta Ganagatratva described in Ayurveda thousands of years back. Vibhakta Ganagatratva means your every entity of the muscle is prominently visible. That is what Vibhakta Ganagatratva with the Vyayama. Deep Tagni, that means your digestive fire is good and it is very optimum once you regularly do the physical activity. Deeptagni Medasachaya, that means your excessive fat is completely depleted. And Klesa Sahishnuta, that means if you are exposed to emotional disturbances, you have the adaptation technique in the body. Adaptation means you can overcome the emotions. Overcoming of the emotions can be possible by adopting the regular physical activity. So regular physical activity is very, very important. But Ayurveda says what type of physical activity is needed. What type of physical activity is needed? That physical activity which is needed is a very important thing. Ayurveda says that is only half of your physical endurance. Half of your physical endurance. That means you cannot do the physical activity full to your physical endurance. That is not acceptable. Okay? That is not acceptable. That is the reason why Ayurveda says if you want to do physical activity, Ardhasaktya Vyayama, you are half of the physical endurance, you are allowed to do the physical activity. Okay? And that important thing is why we need to go for the half of the physical activity. There is a simile, example is given. Suppose you know that the lion is a very valor, that means very strong animal in the forest. But even if it is strong, if it intended to take the dead body of a elephant from the nearest point to the cave, and it started dragging the elephant to his cave or its cave, then it will perish. Similarly, if you want to do the physical activity more than your half of physical endurance, that is going to cause harm to you people. So that is the reason why half of the physical endurance is very important. And many people think, can we replace the Vyayama with yoga? So, of course, Ayurveda says Vyayama is advocated, yoga is also advocated. So, why? Because the yoga is actually our ultimate goal of yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So, of course, by regularly practicing the asanas, your physical strength is also improved, no doubt. But the importance of asana is Sthira Sukham Asana. If you want to do the spiritual practices, you need an asana. So, for that sake, actually, the asanas are described, but the in the further improvisation of the yoga, where the asanas are multitude in nature, and nowadays, if you see in the other countries, that yoga bigs are seen, yoga with physical activity, all these are being completely clubbed together. So, but I think that the yoga practice is regularly has to be done along with the physical activity. So, physical activity, the best way is regular brisk walking. Brisk walking is fast walking, and you should not run. The jogging is not advised, and only brisk walk, fast walking is advised. Maximum to 40 minutes per day is advisable for everybody. Some people used to do 1.5, 2 hours. There are published papers that the people who used to do excessive physical activity died on the spot. We have seen even such reports in the recent past by even uh, uh, prominent people of the society. So, like that, we need to have the regulated physical activity, regulated yoga practices, and those are very important because once your mind is a very, very important component of your health. Ayurveda says Sariram, Sattva, and Atma. Sarirendriya Sattvatma Samyogo Dhari Jivitam. That is what Ayurveda says. Sarira means physical body. Indriyas means sensory objects. That is 10. That is karma. That is karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. And the mind. And Atma. Atma is a consciousness that what the science doesn't believe, but Ayurveda strongly believes in it because several diseases are the expressions of the previous karmas, past karmas. Ayurveda says that there is a quotation that Purva Janma Krita karmas are called Daivam. Ayurveda says Daiva is nothing but Purva Janma Krita karma. Adrishtam, this is also called as Adrishtam. Several people say we loosely use Adrishtam. That is luck. This is not luck. Everything is measured. Whatever that the good deeds you have done in the past life is experienced here as the happiness. So such type of things are described. So ultimately, Ayurveda says if you have a strong body mind, and then your ultimate object is to experience the moksha. That is the Chaturvida Purusharthas are there. In the Chaturvida Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshas. For Dharmartha, Kama, Mokshas, Arogya is the ultimate thing. Dharmartha, Kama, Mokshanam, Arogyam, Mulamuttamam. Rogas tasyapahartara sreyaso jivitastasya. It is what actually Dharmartha Kama Mokshas. So they are very important. If you want to pursue the 4 pursuits of life, Dharmartha Kama Mokshas, Arogya must be there. Otherwise, you cannot properly do your dharma, you cannot experience the kama, and you cannot do the earn the artha and experience, that is practice the moksha sadhana. So these are all very important, and that is the reason why Ayurveda say Sarira Madhyam Kalu Dharma Sadhanam. So for various purposes, Sariram is a very important thing. This body must be properly fit to make you to live happy and to experience the happiness in your life and to do your activity perfectly as your profession or a family member or a social being, whatever that may be, your responsibilities can be properly executed if you have a proper healthiness. So that is the reason why health is a very ultimate thing. Health may not be everything, but without health, everything is nothing. You must remember that. That is the reason why due importance given for the importance of maintaining the health. So to maintain the health, ultimate part is food and intake of water, maintenance of sleep and physical activity. In addition to that, You should not be disturbed by the negative habits like the alcohol intake, even pawn parag, smoking, and extramarital lives. These are all negative habits. These are all going to make you very sharp, going to disturb from your healthy life. So with this, maybe I finished my time, I think, given time. And thank you, uh, all the people. Whoever want to interact, I can spare some time for answering their questions.
So, thank you so much for explaining Ayurveda way of life. Nowadays, they are advising us high protein diet so that we can reduce obesity. So, what they say is for 10,000 years, only before 10,000 years, there was no agriculture. So, human beings were all hunter gatherers. So, our gene adaptation is for a non vegetarian diet. So, what does Ayurveda say about this?
Ayurveda never accepts that high proteinous food because we described even proteins, different proteins, animal proteins, and we have described the various qualities of the each animal protein, and accordingly, this is only a part of food. Even when we do certain purification therapies, panchakarma therapies, we have a regulated food habits. That means what we give is the first carbohydrate diet, and carbohydrate with a little fat, and carbohydrate little fat, and followed by protein food. So this sequence is, so what they said when we were the primitive people, aborigines, when we ate only the meat. So probably thousands of years, our genes might have conditioned to the existing food habits. You remember that, and you also you actually assess that there are innumerable number of diet patterns in India locally. That means if you take the Kadapa district, the food habits are different. Chittoor district food habits are different. That means our food habits are conditioned by our environmental factors, our available sources, and our gene conditioning. So all these are very important. That means Ayurveda never accept that you go for only a mono prototype of foods like either protein or carbohydrate or fat. So we always advise the food with all possibilities. So that is very, very important. Ayurveda strongly condemn such type of practices. Because as you even practice, I have come across such people after experiencing that they have certain problems also, and after discontinuing that again they gain back their weights. So that is the reason by aggressive weight reduction is not advisable even by WHO, and slow weight reduction with a threefold approach, that is diet and calorie burning, that is physical activity, and even if the medicine is there, and that, that is called trifold approach. The trifold approach is very important for reduction of the weight. There is no other possibility.
Thank you so much, sir, for the experience.
Yeah.
A small request for
Saritas.
a small request for all the participants. Sir, please ask very limited questions only because sir is very busy. Sir position different in the entire hospital, and Ayurveda college and hospital is looked after by sir only. Please.
Sir, this biome concept has any influence on this food habits?
Yes, sir.
Each
Again,
each group of people will have certain biomes
yes.
associated.
Okay.
Whether the food intake is dependent on that also.
Bio means you mean intestinal biomass?
Yeah.
Yeah, really, that is there. Actually, that is even proved effective because we have intestines having um, trillions of uh, microbes. Once it was recorded in the magazine, Science magazine from the America, it is said whether we are living with them or they are living with us. That means we have 75 trillions of cells. Human body is having 75 trillions. And microbes living in our intestines are 125 trillions.
Oh.
That means ours is a minority and theirs is a majority. So we have only 1% of the genes, and they have 99% of the genes in our body. So definitely, our food is going to influence the microbiome in our body, and microbiome is also a part of our what Vaishvanara. We always advocate the Vaishvanara is not a digestive enzymes. Vaishvanara is a starting point. This is a completeness of total digestive process, because the microbiome plays a very vital role in the completion of the digestion and assimilation of the contents of the food. So definitely our food is going to influence the microbiomes. This is also recorded scientifically. It is proved. The people who used to eat junk foods, their microbiome is some completely different. The people who used to eat the vegetarian food, more fibrous food, their microbiomes are different. So that is very, very important, because there was a study conducted on the rat model that the obese rat's fecal matter is fed to the lean rat. Lean rat has become obese.
Yes. Okay.
That means microbiome is going to even assimilate. Some people used to really say that, sir, we are taking very small quantity, but we are getting the weight. That is 100% true, because their absorption gradients are highest. That is directly dependent upon the microbiome. So some people even eat full, but they don't get the plumpness. So that is also, because that is also actually not needed for the scientist. What the lean rat, making the lean rat into obese is not our object now. Making the obese rat into lean is our objective, the medical objective. That is the major problem being faced by the medical fraternity. So they tested it reversely. That means they have taken the lean rat microbiome, that is fecal matter, and that is served to the obese rat. Nothing has happened. So that is the dominant microbiome of the obese, which cannot even entertain any of such microbiomes from the lean rat. So that is the reason why our intestinal flora is a very, very important factor. What we think Ayurveda is also a part of our Chaturagni. So till that time, so they also plays vital role in the process of digestion and absorption.
Sir, one thing.
Yes.
Namaste, sir. In this
Namaste.
modern era, so many people they can't able to early bed and early rise. Is there any suggestion for them?
Yeah, that can be, but if they want to do, they can do it. But if the conditions like their profession will not facilitate, there are people who used to do night shifts. Those people actually Ayurveda advocates. Suppose if you wake up in the night, you have to compensate with the day sleep. Okay, so if you wake up throughout the night, and it must be compensated. While compensating with the day sleep, you should not sleep immediately after food. That is also advised. You want to take the day sleep, and you take this food and wait for at least 1 hour and then go for sleep. So that is advised. But immediately after taking food, if you go for sleep, and that is going to cause. And definitely this, if regularly you do, suppose some people, they used to do shifts, night shifts in shifting pattern. That means they do 1 month night shift, 1 month day shifts. So that is really going to harm their health, no doubt at all, because that profession itself is going to harm them. And certain people having weekly shifts, 1 week night shift and 1 week day shift, that is also going to disrupt, because the sleep is such that if you facilitate that in time, then you will get absolute normal sleep. Once you get a normal sleep, you feel refreshed in the morning. But if you do not get a proper sleep, in the course of time, it is going to cause harm to your body by ventilating this stress, inadequate sleep stress in your body in the form of some disease. So that is the reason why about 80% of the diseases in modern medicine, they do not have reason for cause. That means they are called idiopathic. Cause is not known. But majority of those diseases caused by this lifestyle, erroneous lifestyle only. So that is the reason why early bed, early rise, if it is not possible for them, and they have to have a regulated other pattern of sleep, even the daytime. So that is also advocated in Ayurveda. It doesn't mean that if nobody does the night duty, who are going to maintain the night activities. So that has to be there. As a social being, you have to compensate in the daytime. So that can be even facilitated. But for healthiness, Ayurveda says, Brahmi Muhurta Uttishte Swasto Rakshardham Ayushaha. That is said. Brahmi Muhurta means around 45 to 115 minutes before the sunrise. So if you wake up, you are going to facilitate the preservation of your healthiness. That is what it is said. So that's very important.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Namaste, sir.
Yes.
Regarding fasting, we all know that fasting definitely helps
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
body, but there are so many different ways fasting is recommended. Like, for example, 24 hours just drinking water, nothing else, or just before going to bed, 3-4 hours before going to bed, eat nothing, things like that. So, what do you recommend?
Yeah. Actually, the fasting is a tool for management of certain diseases in Ayurveda. We call it as Langhanam. Langhanam Paramaushadam. We said that it is ultimate treatment for many of the diseases. But it has to be cautiously advised. That means it cannot be generalized, you remember. The constitutions, as I told you, around 7 constitutions are there. So Vata predominant constitutions are 3. So those constitutions should not be experienced benefits out of this Langana. So that is the reason Vata Prakriti people, if you advise the same Langana, that is going to cause harm to them. Vata Pitta Prakriti people also, that is not advisable. So that is the reason why you cannot generalize the Langana. As per the condition, you can advise Langana. Langana is said not only absolute fasting, you remember, Ayurveda have different Langanas. There are 10 types of Langanas described. Chatushprakara Samsuddhi, Pipasa, Marutatape, Pachanan Upavasasya, Vyayamascheti Langanam. That is, these 10 factors are going to cause the lagutva in the body. That means lightness in the body. Those are all called Langanas. So if you observe all these 10 factors, even Vyayama is also a Langana, you remember. That means whatever that which burn the calories, those are all called Langanas. So Pipasa Marutatapai. Pipasa means what you said is this fasting. That is Pipasa Maruta Atapai. That means suppose you have hunger. If you resist the hunger, that is called Langana. That is what you are probably saying. But we have different types of Langanas also. Even without going for that, you can even practice by taking even without taking the water. Even if you get the thirst, that is also Langana, which is going to induce the lagutva in the body. So nowadays there are so many types of fastings described: intermittent fasting, 24 hours fasting, absolute fasting. These are all different types, but those types are suitable for the Kapha Prakriti, Kapha Pitta Prakriti people and Sama Prakriti people, but not for all the other Prakriti people. So you have to legitimately adopt that. If the same benefit may not be achieved by the all. So that is the reason why that's very important. First, you have to identify your constitution. Accordingly, as per your constitution, you can go for fasting. So that is the reason why generalization of fasting is not advised in Ayurveda. That is the reason why there are 10 types of fasting methods described in Ayurveda. As per the suitability, you have to advise them. So in Vata Prakriti people, simply Pachana drugs improve the digestive fire is sufficient, which is going to induce the Langana effects. So that is the reason why there are other methods also to tackle the Langana, to practice the Langana in the constitutions where the Langana, absolute Langana is prohibited. Okay? So that is the reason why you cannot generalize the Langana for everybody.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಮಹೋದಯ.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable input. Now I am Dr. Shivakumar Garu is proposing vote of thanks.
Before going to that, let me thank one and all, especially the Vice Chancellor Sir, and also the Head of the Department of Yoga at Lakshmi Narayana, Shiva Kumar, and other faculty of the yoga, and giving me this opportunity to just share before you some of my views regarding the lifestyle corrections of in the view of yoga and Ayurveda. Thank you for all the listeners and who are attending this program. Thank you, one and all. Sir, over to yoga.
नमस्ते. ॐ योगेन चित्तस्य अधिवाचां मनं श्रीञ्जन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पदं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. Shubhodayam, Varandal, who gathered here, distinguished of honor, respected speakers. On behalf of the Department of Yoga Vijnana, National Sanskrit University, I take the privilege of proposing vote of thanks. I would like to take opportunity to thanks the beloved today's speaker, Professor P. Murali Krishna Garu, for high and great insight into the Ayurveda and Yoga disciplines. Sir, we are very fortunate to hear your words regarding today's topic, healthy lifestyle in the light of yoga and Ayurveda. Your presentation on the topic lifestyle correction, which are very important to promote good health, is remarkable, sir. To achieve good health, your explanation regarding ahara is to become moderate, nidra also moderate as per the age. Physical fitness is essential for every age type. All these factors will help to pleasant mind, which is strong in your uh, presentation. Yuktahara viharasya yuktajasya karmasu swapnavabhodasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. We are very fortunate to hear you because you are the only suitable expert in the field of yoga and Ayurveda with sufficient knowledge. That's why you consider as modern Charaka. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Jai Ram. Next, my sincere thanks to my colleagues, students, and everyone who has taken their interest in the event and actively involved in the session. I like to thanks the ICT and non-teaching staff for the arranging and necessary equipment and supplies for the program. Thank you, one and all. Jai Ram.